In the last video of this brief series on the fire mechanic, we looked at how the Age of the Ring mod completely overhauled the mechanic to make fire something to be feared again in BFME. In this third video, I'll show you another way fire plays a unique role in BFME with Ents and Flammability. I'll explore some of the interesting discrepancies found between both games, as it works a bit differently from one game to the next. Now we come to some odd aspects of terrain fire, and it regards the Ents. Now you would think that if you lit the terrain on fire, it would have a highly adverse effect on Ents, but it does not in AOTR. But what about in vanilla ROTWK? As you can see, Ents are more susceptible to it in vanilla. Not enough to take out whole swaths of Ents, of course, but still a bit better nonetheless. And of course, all depending on terrain. However, it's probably still a bit better to just target them normally. But terrain fire, if you can keep it up as they move, is a great way to control the area they're in. Battlewagons are kind of odd too in the vanilla game. If you have a few to throw barrels of oil, they don't stack.
Make a run. Toss the barrel.
You can see here that twice the number do the same amount of damage, but that the fire goes out much faster. Terrain fuel is burned up in that area much faster as a result. In AOTR, it works roughly the same, but definitely does more damage on flammable terrain than in ROTWK. However, you can see that unlike in ROTWK, the grass terrain fire does not spread with the barrel fire, just stays in one place. So if you were to target Ents with the battle wagons, you'd need to micro a bit with all three. When it comes to Ents and fire, one of the most interesting features is when it comes to Saruman. His fireball works radically different on AOTR Ents than in ROTWK. In the vanilla game, you can see that several Ents close to the impact take heavy damage over a short time, but do not die, even while staying lit. And obviously, you can still command them. The only way to put out that fire is if there is a water source nearby, like a pond or a ford. Not even the water bucket will put it out, or the healing source of the Elven Fortress if you get that upgrade. The Ents will eventually heal, but the fire is not put out by it. Both the water bucket and the fortress healing sources work the same in AOTR. Notice the cool animations of them dousing themselves. A very nice touch. This can be found in AOTR as well. But what's radically different in AOTR is if Ents are struck by the fireball, they immediately run quite fast to the nearest water source. You completely lose command over them while they are in this state too. Depending on the water source, they will either put themselves out or they will rapidly burn to death with nothing you can do to stop it. Those that are put out are immediately returned to your command. Unfortunately, if you play on a map that has no water source at all, like this AOTR desert map called Red Desert of Kahir, your Ents have little to no hope of surviving. However, you can command them for the short time they remain with you, oddly enough. You can see that somehow some of them are able to put their fires out by them running around. It would seem the fire mechanic has another unique attribute, or is this a bug? Not really too sure. And lastly, what about ROTWK and the cultists of Zigor? You can see that on the non-flammable terrain he barely does anything, but on the grass terrain above? A little better, but not at all what I would expect of a power like this. Now the cultists of Zigor. As you can see, these Ents stand no chance against the attack. But what about the others? Well, oddly, you can see them getting hit by the fire, but they remain largely untouched. The one being ignited is just the cultists using their default attack. Interestingly, you can see that the one does not burn to death like we've shown before. Some strange discrepancies, to be sure. This about covers everything of interest on Ents and Flammability. As far as I know, they are the only units in the game with fuel or flammability, with some odd discrepancies to boot. Using fire isn't always going to take them down like you think. In the next episode, I'll get into how other units operate with fire, like fire drakes, corsairs, wizards, and even a unique fire mechanic found only with the ever-controversial custom heroes.